Okay, I wanted to do an update because we're in the middle of the summer and we're not so far from the football season. I think we're within 70 days. So some of these numbers are fluid, but I wanted to go through the numbers so far for Georgia to win various things, including the national championship. That's where we're going to start. This is all from FanDuel, okay? Georgia is now no longer the second favorite betting, second whatever. They're number three now behind Ohio State, who has gone all the way up to 300, plus 300. So that is a bit of a shift. There's a momentum apparently in the offseason for Ohio State to win the national championship. To win 10 plus games, Georgia's at negative 1,500, Ohio State at the same spot, Alabama at negative 2,000. I think those are all probably pretty smart bets, to be honest with you. Regular season wins for Georgia. The over under is sitting at 10 and a half. And you can probably get this number elsewhere different. 10 and a half or negative two, or minus 210 for the over. So that's probably the most likely scenario there. For Georgia at plus 160 to win the league. Alabama at plus 140, making them the favorite. The division winner, Georgia's going to run away with this. They're negative 550 to win the East. Alabama's at negative 400. So Alabama a slight favorite more to win the West. Excuse me, Georgia a slight favorite more to win the East and Alabama to win the West, which makes sense because of the competition over there. But those two both in really solid position according to odds makers. A couple other things have moved a little bit. Georgia now a 17-point favorite over the Oregon Ducks, which I think is a pretty big line to me. Um, and that has moved up as I recall. I'm seeing some other games here I might comment on from here and there. I, it's just to see Georgia as a 15-point favorite over Florida and then a 15.5-point favorite over Tennessee in back-to-back weeks, and then to be considered a 16-point favorite against Kentucky on the road. I mean, those are really big lines. You could make the Georgia Tech line 35 points, and I would take the Dogs. They are a 28-point favorite over the Jackets. So pretty big numbers there. Florida is getting two at home, which I think is accurate. You know, they're not as good as Utah. I don't know who's going to win that game, but they're not as good as Utah. The season opener, Ohio State Notre Dame at Ohio State, a two-touchdown favorite at home. Florida State, a three point five point underdog against LSU. So there's some curious matchups along the way here, but I think to me the one that's a and one last one here, which is Alabama a 15-point favorite on the road at Texas. That's a curious one for me because I think Texas is not quite ready for what they're going to be getting from Alabama. The Tide, a 17-point favorite over Arkansas on the road, a 16-point favorite over the Aggies at home, a 13.5-point favorite against Tennessee on the road, and a 16-point favorite against LSU. Finally, a 3.5 touchdown favorite over Auburn at home. If you want to find these games elsewhere, you can. When you look at some of the betting outlets that are out there, there's no shortage of places. We use FanDuel just because we kind of always have, but it is curious. I want to see if FanDuel is the only one because I think they might be that have Ohio State in front of Georgia for the national championship. I knew there was one service that had them there. Yeah, they're the only one for the most part. Um, it's possible these have not been updated, but for the most part, Georgia is the prohibitive bridesmaid in the in the run up to the national championship betting. Hey, listen, make sure you're taking advantage of our offer with DAWGSTRUCTION. You get it today, 80 pages, full color, the whole deal, hard hardcover, full color, hardcover, all these things. You get that, and you're going to get this today. Look, I probably should have gotten more magazines. I'm recognizing that now. Make sure you don't miss out. When you get Dogstruction, you get the magazine for free. It comes in the package. If you just want the magazine, I would act now. Go ahead and order it, and I will send it to you. We're set to get these. There's 2 more orders just there on my phone. We're set to get these in 2 days. So I'm going to try to turn those around as fast as possible on Friday. Again, it is a really cool. I'll leave this up here while I talk. I would not put Georgia as the favorite to win the national championship, as I talked about. Probably in Indianapolis, it should be Alabama's uh, championship to lose. That's probably the wrong way to put it, but this is a really good bunch, and we're going to see what happens in the Oregon game. Um, I just this Georgia team is set up to, excuse me, to really, there's just not a lot in their way. And excuse me, they're not playing the rough Western stretch that they had had. Keep in mind that in 18 they played LSU, in 19 they played A&M, in 20 they played Alabama, and obviously every year they played Auburn. So all of those years they were playing either the best or the one of the top two teams in the West, or what was supposed to be the big hitters in the West. Um, and they did okay during that stretch. Alabama definitely has a tougher uh, row to hoe as it relates to winning their division. It's a better division, but that's kind of irrelevant. I mean, if you're going to get to Atlanta and you got to win it. The two divisions, the top of the divisions, are obviously very good, and Georgia should win to get to Atlanta. That's the safest bet to me, if you want to call it that. That's the one to me that makes most sense. I just the first game of the season, Georgia being a 17-point favorite. I know that Dan is starting his job at Oregon. I know that there's a lot of moving parts to coming across the country and playing. I just am not super comfortable with a 17-point line in the first. I wouldn't play that line. Okay. I would play the tech line. I would get it now at 28, frankly, because that's probably going to go up. And Georgia Tech is a disaster. And that's all there is to it, y'all. I mean, I just, the guy just, it's not working. And I don't know if he doesn't know what he's doing, but it's not working. And they've scored 7 points in 2 games against Georgia while Jeff Collins has been there. That's the game to me. I would look at 16 for the Kentucky game. That seems a little bit high. Maybe 15 for the Gators, or 15 and a half, whatever it was. Maybe that's not. But I monitor betting lines and so forth. You see, generally speaking, Alabama at around plus 200 to win the national championship. Georgia is somewhere around the 300 mark, typically. So Alabama is a little, a solidly favored, I would say, over the Dogs. Ohio State at about 400, 450. It depends on where you're looking, and then it just falls off a lot after that. But I will be curious to see as time goes on here just what that Oregon line gets to or becomes. I mean, we got some issues at Oregon too to kind of figure out. Um, and Dan, your first season is always, it seems to me, one of your toughest ones, if not your toughest one. But that is the most challenging game of I would say what Oregon is getting into, going to Atlanta to play the Dogs, is probably the most challenging game for a new head coach coming into this season. You've got LSU with Brian Kelly playing the Noles, but they're not playing that game, against the defending national champions. They're not playing that game in Florida State's backyard. That game's in Houston. Is that right? I can't remember. I just that's gonna be a real challenge for Oregon. Yeah, well, that game's in New Orleans. I mean, LSU should beat Florida State. I mean, they really should. They've got quality. They've got quality skill folks. LSU's never hurting there. Anyway, back to the dogs. I think I would say away from these sucker bets, which are these national championship bets. I would say that the division is your smart play, and games that you can kind of pick, like Georgia Tech. Man, I would try to lock in 28. I think Tech could have a new head coach by the end of the season, like interim, and that could get nasty because this is the first time the Jackets will be in Athens in some time.